So we're a week into GCSEs now, and I've been getting a few messages about, I've been asking people how they've gone, how they're finding, balancing all this revision. It's tough, I know. And a few people have said that wasn't great. That exam really was not the best, and some people have been worrying, saying how that exam almost felt like a waste of everything that they've done for the past like 2-3 years to revise. Some people have said I've just made so many silly mistakes, like I can see them now, I can see that they're wrong. Obviously the panic starts to set in because you're like, I might have just failed it. Everyone will have a bad exam. If you get through this exam season and don't have a bad exam, you are extremely lucky. So this video I basically want to base around 2 exams in particular for me that didn't go very well, or I thought didn't go very well. So first of all, biology paper 1, one of the first exams I sat with in this season. I did my art and French speaking, but like one of the first in like this proper exam season was biology paper 1, and it was going fine. The questions were, alright, nothing special, nothing incredibly hard, I don't think. To be honest, I can't really remember that much. But towards the end, I realised I was running out of time. And I actually put this on my story, and someone was quite shocked in the fact that I missed out questions in paper 1. So biology, I had got to the last couple of pages, realised I had like 2 minutes left, and had to sacrifice about 6 marks worth of questions, because I looked at all the questions and I basically said, okay, which one can I answer and get the most amount of marks in this 2 minutes? Like, I'm not going to be able to cover everything. Which can I answer that will give me the best chance of getting more marks? So I picked one and left not a 6-marker question, but 6 marks worth of questions. So I think there was a 4-marker and then a 2-marker like after that. I missed it. And I remember coming out of that exam and all I could think about was missing those marks. The test went alright, but when you're faced with something like that, when you realise that you've not answered it to the best that you could because you either ran out of time or you panicked or whatever it was, you missed out marks, and you did. That can shadow what you've done for the rest of the hour or 2 hours or whatever it is. So I didn't think about like the rest of the questions, and I didn't think about how I answered the rest of the questions pretty well. I put in enough detail, I knew what I was talking about, but obviously missing out those last marks, and especially towards the end of the paper where I then couldn't cover it up in my brain with, questions after that. It was the last thing I saw when I closed my paper was that unfinished question. So it can be easy to miss out one question, which is in most papers a small section of the paper, and suddenly think you failed it because you've missed out that one question and you forget to think about everything else. So the other example is my French writing. Now, you've probably heard me talk about this if you've watched a few of my videos. French writing is normally the pusher up of my grades. So it's French writing and speaking were my 2 like that I could guarantee I would get a good grade on, so that they would boost my reading and listening. And I went to the French writing exam fairly confident, came out fairly confident, liked what I'd written, had plenty of time, even sat there for like 20 minutes just because I'd read through it all, I'd done everything I could, and I was like, I literally can't read through it any more times, I'm just gonna zone out. But what do I do when I get home? I go on Twitter, and there's this thing going around where people were panicking because apparently you had to speak from a teacher's perspective or something, and I had picked the question that apparently you had to do that. And then for the next like 10 weeks until results day, I was panicking because I was like, oh my god, like there's no way I could have passed that exam. If it was the big question at the back. If you do higher languages, there's like the 150 word at the back. It was that question that I thought I'd just completely mucked up. And yeah, I'd basically just set myself into some sort of panic because I thought I'd literally failed this exam, and yeah, until results day I obviously didn't know that I'd actually done alright. So I had those 2 exams that I thought I had not failed, but they were not good exams in my books, and and obviously French was more of a panic that I'd completely failed the exam, and biology was just, my image of that exam had been tainted by the fact that I'd missed out questions and therefore knew I'd missed marks. One thing I want to stress though is that even though I missed out 6 marks worth of questions, I still got a 9 in biology. Obviously I then did biology paper 2, and the difference between the biology paper and the French paper was the mindset that I then tackled afterwards. So French, I was just in a blind panic for 10 weeks. Like, there was no getting out of it, because every time I thought about it, I was like, oh, well, that's the one I failed, you know. There's that sinking gut feeling like I have messed up so many weeks and years of revising and learning, and it got to this exam and I failed it. And that's what I thought. On results day, I found out I got an 8 in French. I was over the moon. So obviously, moral of the story is it's not normally as bad as you think it is. But the mindset I want to talk about is the one after my biology exam. So I thought I had failed it. I was really upset with myself because I hadn't finished it on time. And I then thought, do you know what? I'm going to take this as a learning curve. Like, it's one of my first exams. There's something's bound to go wrong. As I said, if you go through all of your exams that don't have a bad exam, then you're extremely lucky. But I decided to think, okay, what can I do to make sure that that doesn't happen again? And I basically thought, I'm gonna spend all of my time now when I'm revising for my new subjects on time management. So every time I did a practice paper or essay style questions or exam questions, I made sure that I gave myself no more than the time that I'd be given in the exam. So if it's a 6-mark question, I'd give myself 6 minutes and no more. So I thought about what I did in that exam and how I could improve on that. So I knew that at the beginning of the biology exam, I was fairly slow. I was taking my time, reading every question, highlighting everything. Even 1 markers, I would highlight the whole question and, you know, pick out the key bits and really make sure that I was, you know, writing down the right thing. And I realised that you don't, like, I'm not going to say you need to rush through it, but I realised that me, personally, highlighting a 1-mark question wasn't going to help me much because I knew what the question was asking me. If it was a particularly difficult one, I would. But for most of them, it was just, okay, what's it asking me? I know the answer, I'll write it down, there we go, move on. So it was about speeding up the process at the beginning so that I left myself more time at the end. So I think the moral of this video is that your mind will always pick out the negatives. If you think an exam has gone wrong, there's a saying that, like, you literally can't do anything about it. Like, that's it, it's done. There's no point dwelling on it, because all that's going to give you is unnecessary stress. Move on, think about what you can do and take from that. But please don't be me from that French exam and panic about it for 10 weeks and then at the end of it just there's no reason for the panic. When you're thinking about your exams, please try and think about the whole thing. There will be good parts and there will be bad parts, but you just need to think of the whole thing and not think, that was a bad exam because I missed out 1 3-mark question, you know? And yes, there will be some exams where you literally think, I cannot answer most of these questions. But in that scenario, realise that all you can do is your best. There's no one's going to blame you for not answering every single question perfectly, because you just can't. There's always going to be slip-ups, there's always going to be silly mistakes, and people ask me, like, how do you stop making silly mistakes? I don't. I make so many silly mistakes. The only way you can obviously prepare for that is making sure you read the question fully, taking your time, but obviously not to the extent that I was at the beginning of that biology paper, and also reading through if you have time at the end, and properly working through each process and going, okay, so does it make sense? Do you know what you're on about? Do you know your thought process, whether it's science for your method or English? Does your essay make sense? Is there a sentence that can be added here to kind of bring it all together? Yeah, silly mistakes are just a part of life, to be honest. They were in every single one of my exams, but I did alright. And yeah, so your mind will always pick out the negatives. I will always think about that one silly mistake I made in a maths paper, but at the end of the day, they are insignificant to your final grade, because all of the good things will outweigh it. So let me know how your exams are going in the comments below. I hope that you're all doing alright. I hope you're managing these exams okay. It can be tough, but I wish you the best of luck for the next couple of weeks. And if you have any more videos you'd like me to upload within this exam season, then let me know. I just want to help you guys out through this time. And then just remember, you've got that long break at the end. It's almost there. You've got just a couple more weeks and then you're done. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye!